There is one place for history where everything comes to life in the nighttime. Hey everyone, it's Don G. Corleone here, and I'm here with a brand new movie review, and this movie review is going to be for a film, or somewhat of a, technically another family comedy film, and that film is going to be for none other than a film released around the very end of 2006 during the Christmas holiday season, and that is probably going to be 2006's Night at the Museum. Yeah. So, pretty much a childhood favorite of mine, if you can tell. Where is it? Okay. Here it is. Trying to review the whole entire trilogy this week before I go on my trip. So yeah, all three of these films. So anyway, before I get into details, what's the plot of this film? Well, in New York, unemployed and divorced Larry Daly is a complete loser. His son Nick is very disappointed with his father, who is going to be evicted, and Larry accepts the job of night watchman in the Museum of Natural History and takes the place of three old security guards that have just retired in order to raise some money and pay his bills. On his first shift, Larry soon realizes that everything in the museum is not as it seems as the statues begin to come to life after the sun sets. The museum transforms into complete chaos with the inexperienced Larry in charge as he learns that an old Egyptian stone that came to the museum in 1950 brings these statues to life until dawn. When Larry brings his son to spend the night with him, the three old guards that hired him break into the museum to try to steal the magical stone, and Larry has to organize all the historical characters to work with him and help him stop the criminals and save the museum. Yeah, pretty much the plot of the film. So, this film is basically based off a book of the same name. And the building featured in the film, which was constructed on a soundstage in Burnaby, British Columbia, is based on the American Museum of Natural History that actually exists in New York City, external shots of which were used in the film. And trainers spent several weeks training Crystal the monkey, who plays that trouble-making monkey Dexter, to slap and bite Stiller in the film. Director Sean Levy credited Ben Stiller from the ensemble cast. Like, when actors hear that Ben Stiller's in a movie, they want to work with him. It's this high water, and it absolutely draws actors, and he was convinced that a big part is why they got this cast. And then, so, after the film was made, obviously shot and marketed, and 20th Century Fox would release the film in theaters on December 22nd, 2006, and it grossed $574 million worldwide. It became the fifth highest grossing film in 2006, but it received mixed reviews from critics. Of course, two sequels were released, like, for example, Battle of Smithsonian 2009, 3 years later, and 5 years after Battle of Smithsonian, Secret of the Tomb in 2014. Then an anime, and of course, Disney Plus is making an animated sequel called Night at the Museum, Mon-Ra Rises Again, aka that villain from the second film, who I'll talk about when I review Battle of Smithsonian and rewatch that, is going to be scheduled to be released sometime in 2022 this year for the streaming device on Disney Plus. Now, as for my reaction to this whole movie and this trilogy, I do like the trilogy, but this one is my favorite of the three. But once again, all three of the movies are pretty good, in my opinion. I mean, technically speaking, the first film and the third film are ones I like. Battle of Smithsonian is probably the worst of them all, but that one's still fine. My opinion on it has kind of warmed up a little bit. I remember kind of hating it when I first saw it, but I'll talk about that one in another review. But I remember seeing this movie in theaters in third grade during Christmas break, and I've enjoyed it as a childhood favorite ever since. Like, 90 Museum is a hoot of a comedy. I enjoyed every minute of it. I like the little references from other tales or movies, too. The whole idea is completely silly, like a bunch of historical wax figures coming to life at night. It's honestly what is so much fun about it. There's always something creative and interesting going on here. Whether it's a skeleton T-Rex chasing a bone, or a monkey trying to steal Ben Stiller's keys, or even Attila the Hun trying to make Ben's life hell. It's all funny stuff. What I liked most about Night of Museum is the fact that it knows it's a family film. It doesn't try to act like it's anything else at the same time, like so many other one of these type of genre films try to do around the 2000s. Mainly because Shrek was so successful, they always, for once, a family movie that didn't just try to cash in on Shrek's success for a change. I really feel like I really feel this can be definitely enjoyed by people of all ages. Like, I mean, true, sure. There are some times where it's overlong. Some parts are a tad slow, particularly at the beginning. And it was kind of let down by the bad marketing, but Night Museum is a fun and entertaining family film. Some of it is very, very funny, not hilarious, just funny, and Ben Stiller gives a pretty good performance as Larry Daly's. Is probably one of his best performances. Museum characters are very well designed, and it was like fun when they came to life when the film let itself go. And of course, I really also love Dick Van Dyke and late actor Mickey Rooney in their roles. Especially Mickey Rooney the most. Just all of Mickey Rooney's rude dialogue in this film is actually just hilarious to watch. Like where is he? I'm gonna punch him in the nose. Or, man, I just really I just love how how just rude his character is. Like, or Gus is. But my favorite of the performances has to be late actor Robin Williams as Teddy Roosevelt. And one of his more entertaining recent films in this there's more entertaining films around this time. And the story is very imaginative and fresh, and there's many other famous actors in this too, like Ricky Gervais who kind of plays the more worried, paranoid owner of the museum, and Owen Wilson who plays Jedediah the miniature cowboy, and Brad Garrett the voice of the Easter Island head that wants the gum gum. Yeah, and of course in some some other good supporting roles too, like Steve Coogan as Octavius, the other miniature Roman guy who constantly has this clash with Jedediah throughout the whole film. I just really like seeing them fight on screen in this movie. Like in the sequels, they get along better, but their rivalry in this film is pretty gold. Especially when they kind of hit each other like around near the end of the film. Film 2 during this big fight in the lobby the exhibits have. But what I also like about the special effects are also quite good. If you feel like all those CGI animals are real, and the script is very witty and clever. Like, and what I like about this movie is that not only is it a fantasy flick, but it's also of course it's still a comedy as well. Like how it makes the audience wonder what happens in a museum when kind of no one's there. Kind of like somewhat Toy Story with the exhibits. Except technically in Toy Story, they come to life whenever nobody's around, day or night. In this one, the exhibits only come to life during the nighttime, and then morning, when everybody's around, they pretty much go back to their lifelike selves, or they're just frozen statues. Just exhibits on display. Basically ended. The special effects were even surprisingly good. It's not just surprising because every movie around this time has been impressive as far as special effects aspect goes, and like the look of the fossilized Tyrannosaurus Rex was really cool. And it was probably the most realistic T-Rex in any kind of family movie, really. The special effects may not compare to some of the bigger budgeted films, but they do the job. Like, they're pretty much on par. They're kind of on par with the special effects of that 1995 film Jumanji that also stars Robin Williams. Now, here's what else can I think of? But I mean, sure, the movie does have some bad qualities too. I mean, the movie does have its up and downs because it's certainly no masterpiece. It feels like there's times when it kind of feels like it's trying too hard to be funny, but don't get me wrong, this movie is filled with laughs such as the Stiller and monkey slapping each other's face, which made me laugh so hard, or just any scenes with Dexter, like specifically whenever he steals Larry's keys, or even rips his instructions that he needs for the night. Also, like, and and the other stuff I kind of mentioned earlier. And Night Museum kind of felt like a pattern to me. Like, no funny parts, little giggles, and then the movie would make you laugh so hard. Like, there's still some lapses of logic and other plot holes too, kind of scare throughout this movie. Like, and considering the premise of the silliness of the movie, these minor things can still be ignored at least. Like, film critics would obviously not ignore them because it's still their duty to tear every single movie apart regardless of its quality. The average moviegoer, but the average moviegoer most of the time would be smart enough to ignore these minor things that kind of take away from the enjoyment of this film. Like, what else can I think of? But I think also, but I definitely didn't like this end credits has a rap song of all things because it doesn't even fit in with the movie at all, and it feels out of place. And I kind of feel like the reveal of Cecil Dick Van Dyke's character being the antagonist is kind of a little forced because him and his two pals him and the two other elderly security guards, they didn't really feel like the type of guys who'd really be villains. Really, so it kind of really didn't kind of really make sense, if you know what I mean. I also kind of feel like Larry and Mickey should have had a bit more scenes together because their chemistry is pretty good, and this is probably the best. And their chemistry is probably the best in this film. And one of the best parts of this film, like, heck, even with Ricky Gervais's character, I wish even his character had more scenes because his character is actually pretty hilarious despite the little screen time he has. As well, but other than that, like, I don't really have any other bad qualities to this film. I think this is one of my favorite family movies of the 2000s, and still enjoyable to this day. The sequels, they're not as great, but like, well, the third one was pretty good, I mean, but the sequels are also pretty enjoyable for what they are. But anyway, despite that, I've kind of got nothing else to say this rate because, like, Night at the Museum in the end is still a fun and cute flick with good chemistry between the exhibits and Stiller, good special effects, and a nice premise too. I recommend this for anyone with kids for sure. But now anyway, that's pretty much it for my review of Night at the Museum, and if you're wondering how I'm going to rank Night at the Museum, here's how I'm going to rank this movie. So overall, if you want to see a Toy Story-like idea of what happens in a museum at night when nobody's around, then easily give us a watch and then buy it add to your collection. And if you're wondering how I'm going to rank Night at the Museum, I'm going to give Night at the Museum an 8.5 out of 10. There we go. It pretty much wraps up my review for Night at the Museum, and I'm gonna probably rewatch Battle Smithsonian very soon. I haven't rewatched that film in a while because, like I said, I remember hating it the first time I saw it, but let's see how my opinion goes for this one. My opinion for it goes after I rewatch it, but yeah, anyway, that's pretty much it for my review for Night. That would be it for this review. Thank y'all for watching, and if you like this, want to see more, and don't forget to like, subscribe to Don G. Corleone.